Aloha Offline Sharks. It's the Aloha Friday Marketing Jam Session with Tom and Nick and Offline Sharks. Welcome. We're super excited to have you here. I'm coming to you from Maui. Nick is now in Montana. I can see those deer. What are those antlers behind you on the wall?
Yeah, I think it's like where am I? That one?
It's so funny. If you move over a little, they look like they're on your head. Like they're you can move a little back. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, those are some deer antlers, and that's like a turkey, I think.
Oh, is that a Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Well, we have a great show lined up for you guys. Today, we're going to be talking all about pricing. It's a critical element to have a successful agency. That's what we're going to discuss today. So why don't you get comfortable, and we're going to cue up the intro. We'll see you in a minute.
Are you ready for the fastest 60 minutes of local marketing strategy, tactics, tips, and fun on planet Earth? It's now time. The moment you've been waiting for. After 167 agonizing hours, they've returned. Broadcasting live from their island retreats, smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and now back for a brand new Sharks Live show. It's your hosts, the Offline Sharks, Tom Gaddis and Nick Ponte.
Woo, listen to that applause, Nick. Listen to that applause. So good. Gets me going every day. So when did you arrive in Montana? What part of Montana you're in? Where did you say?
So I flew into Bozeman, and Right now I'm in a place called Livingston. And that was yesterday. So I'm just kind of getting settled in here. I'm at a friend's house, my wife's friend's house. They just built this real big, nice house. And I feel like, I'm in those Coors Lights beer cans, like the anniversary edition or whatever, the gold one, all the mountains everywhere, and they're all covered in snow. Yeah. Like that's where I'm at right now.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I've never been to Montana.
Yeah.
Never been. Yeah, here it's really pretty. Awesome. Welcome. Aloha Patty. Aloha Darla. Aloha James. What's up, man? Eden. Don. Welcome.
Hey, Don.
Yeah. Don said it's all the same in Montana. All big sky.
It is. And there's so many animals. I mean, like on the way to this driving out here, there was just deer everywhere and foxes and just it's pretty crazy. We're going to go up to Yellowstone in a couple of days, go check out some hot springs and just check it out.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yellowstone would be an awesome place to visit.
But you know what, Tom, which is the topic for this live today, I got 2 really good leads yesterday and they came in, right? They came into business and we did what we always do here at Offline Sharks is we started the pre-qualification process for our customers. And so that process has made it so easy for me, even being out here, to bring in those clients, identify if they're going to be a good fit, how much money they have, what kind of budget we're going on and working with. And I know that a lot of people have that issue where they're always curious as to how much to charge. And so it's great timing that's what we're talking about today, because just yesterday that happened. One of them was a home inspection company. And then the other one was they were a cleaner. So a cleaning company. So yeah. And I'm curious actually, for all of us that are here, who here is pre-qualifying their clients? Like put a 1 in the chat if you're pre-qualifying, put a 2 in the chat if you're not. Put a 3 in the chat if you don't even know what I'm talking about. It does, and if you're not, it's okay. It's pretty simple to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. Like when we say pricing, we're really talking about a couple of things. One is exactly what Nick mentioned, the pre-qualifying part, because when we were first meeting up and helping each other out and growing our agencies, like one of the most frustrating parts of prospecting was like you would find a prospect to be good and then you would need to like have a meeting to see like, oh, is this going to be a good fit? And people will tell you like, oh, the first thing you need to find out is what their budget is. the problem is the person doesn't want to tell you what their budget is because they think you're gonna like just try to charge them like they're gonna say their budget's $5,000 and you're gonna charge them $5,000, right? Now that's not the reality in our case, right? The reason that we want to know what the budget is because marketing services, a lot of the services that we do, like SEO, social media, website design, they're kind of like building a house, right? Like you can have an economy house or you can have like the biggest house with all the bells and whistles on the block. And so, we want to know what the budget is so that we don't waste their time. More importantly, we don't waste our time, putting together this big elaborate proposal. You go in, you pitch it, and the person's like, oh, I was thinking it's going to be like $1,000, and you're like, now you've wasted all that time, right? Like we went through that so many times. Also too, dealing with clients that just at the end of the day, we're spending 2-3 days back and forth with a client just to find out, they had $250 to spend. Like it was super frustrating. And we were like, there has got to be a better way, And I went to Nick and I was like, man, we should what if we put it on the website, right? Like, what if we could just send them to your website and then they could fill out a form? We could ask them the questions and then we would get it before we even talk to them. And I never will forget. I don't know if you remember this, Nick, when that first, we had this lead come in for a website design and their budget was $8,000 to $10,000. And it hadn't charged $8,000 to $10,000 for anything we did. And we wouldn't have even known to make a proposal in that range, right? Like we would have probably made a proposal for a $2,500, $3,000 site because that's what we did. But because we knew the budget they had, we were able to go, oh man, we could really make a great site for this person. And so we were able to put a proposal together that was more in line with their budget. And another thing I would say about that too is that when you're dealing, especially as you get into bigger projects with clients that have more money to spend, if somebody's out there shopping for websites and they're a big client, right? Like they're an established business. They have a lot of things going on and they're getting proposals and they have, they've got, let's say that they've budgeted, $10,000 to spend for their website, right? If someone came in and said, well, I can do your website for $2,000, they wouldn't even talk to that person because that's not how those companies work. Like they have a budgeted amount that they're going to spend, right? So they're if you came in at $2,000, they'd be like, well, that seems way too cheap. Something's not right there, right? So that's another side of this whole, knowing their budget because they have an idea in mind and you're able to come in around that and provide more, right? We're not talking about just charging what their budget is. That's not the point. Sometimes people say their budget's $5,000 and the proposal we make them is only $2,500, right? We're not about just trying to gouge people. We want it to be genuine what the proposal is we're making, but it gives us a range so we know what to do in the proposal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And it was a process to figure out how we were going to do this. We were originally just pre-qualifying our leads that came in, right?
Yeah.
Is my audio weird?
It's popping. I don't know why it's doing that. It's so weird.
I think it's my chair that I'm sitting in. Is it still popping right now?
Just now, yeah. You know how when you turn your music up too loud, the speaker kind of crackles? Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I just adjusted my mic to the one in my computer, so hopefully that's better.
Yeah, you're good.
If it keeps going, I'm going to go get my AirPods, and then that'll probably fix it. But basically, yeah, we had those forms to pre-qualify people. It's not. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
I'll be right back.
Grab your AirPods.
All right.
I'll talk for a minute. Cool. So Nick's going to grab his AirPods. So that's the first part, right? This pre-qualifying, and we actually, we built a form. A couple of different forms for the services we offered on the website. And it was kind of a pain to do that though, right? But we figured out the best question to ask. We tested a bunch of different things. So then our process now is whenever, and this is what Nick was talking to about the clients that reached out to him while he's in Montana. when someone reaches out to us and they say, hey, we're interested in hiring you, or we come across someone who's like, I'm interested in hiring you, then the first thing we do before anything else is we tell them like, hey, I'm going to text you a link, or I'm going to email you a link. I want you to just fill out this form. It doesn't take long. It's not a bunch of crazy information. Just gives me a little bit of information about your project. That way we can put something together that's realistic and makes sense. Right. So, so that is how we do it now. Right. So it always happens that way. No matter when somebody reaches out to us, the first thing we have them do is fill out that form so we can go to the next step. And that allows us to know we have plus we do our kind of like initial, like looking into what they have going on, plus what they put on the form. So whenever we have that first conversation with a potential prospect, we are super prepared, right? So, and we have a pretty good idea that they're worth working with. And so there are a lot of people that reach out to us that don't make that cut, right? That come in and maybe we refer them off to somebody else, or we just say, hey, look, like honestly, with the budget that you're talking about, or whatever it is about the project that just doesn't fit for us, it's not going to work out. So, we spend a lot of time, focusing on the clients we don't want to work with just as much as the ones we do, if that makes sense. All right, Nick, you're back.
I'm back. Is it better?
Yeah. Somebody said the noise was coming from your skinny nylon pants.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Is it better though?
It is. Yeah. No, nothing at all.
Okay, cool. It's funny. So yeah. What I was saying though is, by knowing the budget, right? By knowing your customer's budget, you're able to feel better about what you're going to deliver to them, the product that you're going to be working on, how much time you're going to be investing into it, and how hard you want to go, really. Like that's what it comes down to, because if you undercut, and I'm asking everybody, if you undercut, you charge too little, what happens? What happens on that project? Let's just say we're building a website and we charge like $500, but we spend 2 weeks, like 5-6 hours a day learning, figuring this out. If we take on those types of projects, we're not able to really give them a great quality product, right? We're not really excited to be in there. You know what I mean? Every single hour that we spend on that, we're doing it in a way where we're like unhappy because we know we're not being compensated well. But if they want you to do anything extra, you just get aggravated and ticked off that they're like, why are they calling me 3 times? Why? Like you see the phone ring and you're just like, oh, this person again. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's the worst, right? And on the other end of the coin, the other side of the coin is if you get paid well to do a job, you're excited to do it. You're motivated. You're happy. You're invested into it, right? They're paying you for a quality product, and you're going to deliver. You're going to do your best to deliver. And for me, that's the type of situation I want to be in when somebody pays me, right? I don't want to be in the other side where I'm upset. I'm resentful. I barely even want to do the project. I'm never going to do another project with these people again. I want to be compensated for the amount of time and effort that I'm going to put in this. The problem with that is, especially for people that are kind of new, is it's tough to gauge these types of projects. It's tough to figure out the pricing. It's difficult for a lot of people to talk about money, right? It's not an easy discussion or conversation to have. And like Tom said, we used to do the proposal thing a lot. Like we put proposals out there, and there still is a time and a place for proposals. Don't get me wrong, but more often than not, proposals are for bigger corporate companies that have a board, companies that need to take the project and like put it in front of 4 or 5 people and make like a group decision if this is something we're gonna take on as a business and put it into place. Those are the situations when really proposals happen and are necessary. But if it's like a small business, a husband and a wife, or a one person, small business startup that's just happening, you don't really need a proposal. And Tom and I, we took proposals to in-person meetings and tried to pitch them. The one that's coming to mind right now, Tom, is that proposal for the website and SEO for those real estate agents.
Oh man, yeah, the biggest proposal we ever put together. Woo.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them.
But for some of the most like hotshot real estate agents in Hawaii, right? Like we went into their office in like the most expensive area of Maui, and we were like
the shops of Wailea. They had the big conference table, the TVs everywhere.
I took a picture of Tom in the boardroom. I'm like, holy shit, we're here. We made it. But it didn't go. We were way off the mark, right? We were way off the mark, and we didn't land that project. And it's the worst feeling in the world. And so that's where we, from those types of situations, decided to start innovating what we were doing. And that's where all this came from, right? We came together and we created a plugin called Local Fee Finder that was an addition to what we were already doing. We had lead capture forms, right? Intake forms, discovery forms on our website. If you go to my website right now, nickponte.com, you'll go to the discovery page. You'll see that we have a discovery form for websites for search engine optimization. So when I got a call or an email yesterday from somebody that wanted to do SEO, and my process every single time is the same thing. I send them to my discovery form. If they try to ask me how much the price is, I say, I don't know. I need to go to my discovery form. Go fill out the form. The first thing that you do is you fill that out, so I can do some analysis and can figure out what it's going to take to get your project to where it needs to be. And I need information from you in order to do that. So I send them to the discovery form, and we already had discovery forms, but Tom made mention of putting the budget question in the discovery form, putting it in a way that was very indiscreet. And we gave them a range. We put a range. We said like question number like 15 was like, what is your budget on this project? Is it $2,000 to $4,000, $4,000 to $6,000, or $6,000 and up, or something like that? So they immediately knew that if they weren't going to spend at least $2,000, they weren't qualified, you know? So they picked what they were looking, or what their budget was. And like Tom said, we were very surprised by the results that we got back. And sometimes people said, I went to fill out discovery form and I saw that there's a budget that I need to have. And I don't think my budget fits this project. And that's also good information, right? Because then you can say, well, what is your budget? Maybe we can do something to help you get started. Maybe what you're looking for isn't what you have enough money for right now, but how can we help you? Like, we want to know what we can do to get you the best possible product for your current situation. And I mean, it's such a different conversation, you guys. It's such a different conversation.
Yeah, it really kind of flips the script, right? And like Nick said, we had built these kind of forms on our website before, but it was sort of a pain. Like, you know, there's a lot of plugins out there that, you know, create forms on a site, but, you know, you have to come up with the questions and all that stuff. So Local Fee Finder was our own plugin. We developed it from scratch. But what it does is it has all of the forms that you need as an agency person built in. So, you know, when you install Local Fee Finder, you instantly have a website form, an SEO form, a Google paid ads, like a pay-per-click form. I think there may even be a direct mail one. All the questions pre-filled in, just like a couple of clicks and bam, they're up on your site. You just add them to the menu. But also you can make custom forms with it and all that kind of stuff too. But when we, you know, once we had that piece in place, right? Like that's just one piece of the picture, right? This pre-qualifying, that kind of stuff. The other piece of the picture is pricing. And one of the things that I see a lot of people make mistakes with is pricing, because everyone is out there telling you like, oh, for this service, you should charge $500. For this service, you should charge $297. For this service, you should charge $997. Cookie cutter pricing does not work. Actually, I had some conversations with some people in the Facebook group this past week about this with the coupon cash system unleashed, right? Like when I did my first card, I priced it in a specific way to do a specific thing, which was I needed money, right? I needed cash flow. So I priced that thing based on what it was going to cost me. You know, once I collected the money to get everything fulfilled, I wanted to be able to make around $3,800, $4,000. So, I looked at my numbers and then arrived at pricing based on that. And that's how I did my first card. Now, as things have went on and my business has changed, I've made it a strategic decision to keep my pricing at $500 because I use it as a foot in the door, right? As a way to bring people in. And now that we have Agency Growth Machine, like, think about this. Every time we do a mailer, we're sending out 10,000 pieces of mail right here that advertises our influencer site. And not only are we not paying to do that mailing, but we are getting paid to do it. Like, I mean, that's a really great deal for us, right? So we're focusing on different things right now. We have different goals. So the pricing is reflective of that. And your pricing should be the same. It shouldn't just be what Joe Blow guru told you to price. Like, you need to figure out your pricing based on what it is you want, right? What are your financial goals, right? Like, the amount of money you need to survive every month is probably very different from the amount of money Nick needs every month to survive, or I need, or anyone else needs, right? So you want to figure out your pricing based on what your goals first, right? Like, look, I want to make this amount of money each month. This is what my pricing needs to be. Now, over time, that's all going to shift, right? Because you may think right now, like, man, if I could just get to $10,000 a month, I'll never have to do anything again. Like, I'll be so set. I won't need anything. That's what I used to think. And then when I got to $10,000 a month, I was like, well, this isn't enough money, right? So, like, you're going to adjust this over time. And so your pricing needs to be, you need to have a way to evaluate it in an objective way, evaluate it and adjust it based on what you're trying to do. Now, once you figure out, like, look, if say, look, I want to make $1 million, you're going to have a certain, the pricing of your services is going to be at a certain level. You may be in a market or an area where that's just never going to happen, right? Like, so you either have to find a market that can afford to pay those prices, or you're going to need to adjust your pricing, right? So your personal goals are the first thing, like what I want to make, what I want to do. The hardest thing there is to be realistic without selling yourself short, right? Like, if you're trying to make, $100,000 a year in your agency and you've never had a client, maybe $100,000 a year shouldn't be your first goal. Like, maybe your first goal should be, let's just make 10,000, or let's just make 5,000, or even your goal might be, let's just make 1,000, right? Like, be realistic about how you set your goals. But as part of the little thing we did with Local Fee Finder, we had this course called Pricing Magic, where we talk about this, like the psychology of pricing, like how to figure out, like, if you're out there estimating projects, right? How do you know what to even charge, right? Like, estimating is kind of a skill and an art, and it takes experience. We talk about all that stuff, how to do those things so that you can figure out, like, with some, you're going to need to adjust that, right? Like, the first time you do it, you may be way off, but you look at it and you adjust for the next time. So there's a lot of little ins and outs there that we go through in the Pricing Magic thing as well.
Yeah. And you guys, Tom and I are obviously super passionate about this topic and how helpful this tool is for us. I didn't mean to jump right into it, because I know we have, like, our usual programming. We should jump into that. But one thing, just because we've already talked so much about it on this stream, is we want to do something cool, because this thing is so helpful. Somebody asked for, like, how do I get a copy of it? Somebody also said, I found a bootleg copy of Local Fee Finder, which I don't know if you got yesterday's email, but you should go back and read yesterday's email about the whole stealing bootleg copies of things and all that. That was a great email, by the way, Tom. Anyway, so we did, like, and then Devin put a link in the Local Fee Finder. And if you go to that link, you go to the normal sales page that you can find on our website right now. It's $197. Don't pay that right now, because Tom and I wanted to do something special for everybody on this live today. We put a great discount on that tool that we built. And Tom, maybe you can put that link. Just let it do that, like, scrolly one.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. There you go.
So if you guys do want Local Fee Finder, there's a discount there. You can pick it up.
And I think it includes the upgrades too. So not only do you get a really big discount, but we included the upgrade as well. So you get everything in one package.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about it, you guys, on the stream. We'll talk more about the pricing. We'll talk more about all that. But you guys, it's really changed the way we do our business and still do till this day. And it really helps out when you get leads coming in and you feel like once you get these leads coming in, you need to respond immediately, right? The best time to react and get a lead and close them is as soon as you get that lead. Like that's the absolute best time. But it doesn't have to be a closing call. It can be like a follow-up, because if a lead comes in, you can tell them like, hey, here's the next step. And if they don't do that, then they might not really be a good lead. So that's also a piece of it. So while I'm out and about, while I'm traveling and doing all this stuff, if I get a lead, I don't have to call them right away. I don't have to stop what I'm doing. I can just send a response, and I have a canned response in all of my emails. It just says, hey, the first step for this type of project is go fill out this form, and there's a link. And then I just wait, right? And when they send that information, then I follow up with them. And it's not like high alert, high stress. It allows me to put the ball in their court, in my court, at a pace that's a lot more easy and still with a very high closing rate, because if they fill it out, you get all that information, and then you're just in such a better position. I mean, we call that posturing up, right? You're able to posture up before the actual sales call because you have all that great information. So check it out, you guys, and then let's do our stuff, Tom.
Yeah. So I think we'll switch things around a little, because we would love to do our shark shout outs. We're going to get to those here in a minute. But I think before that, because we're on a roll with this pricing discussion. So first of all, if you're on this live right now and you have questions about pricing, you want to know anything, pop them in the comments so we can talk about them. So we'll answer questions and talk about them as well. We're more than happy to talk about our old pricing models, new pricing models, whatever you want to know about. Maybe you have questions about your pricing models. We can talk about that as well. But before we do that, I want to do, because we haven't done this in a couple of weeks, I want to do what is Tom reading? And that's because it ties into what we're talking about. And on the show from time to time, I recommend books, things I'm reading. You can find them all at offlinesharks.com/books. The book I'm recommending this week is one that I've had for a while. And it's by a guy named Howard Shenson. And this book is the thing for me that really opened my eyes to pricing. And it's called The Contract and Fee Setting Guide for Consultants and Professionals by Howard L. Shenson. And you can still find, this was written in like 1998, I think. You can still find copies of it online, right? So this is the book. But one of the things that is really awesome about this book is not only does he talk about a lot of the things that we're talking about today, like, look, there's the fee setting process. This also covers proposals. So creating an effective proposal, what a proposal does for you, the proposal writing process, the consulting contract, contracts on your lawyer, valued forms, performance contracts, reporting and fee collecting, right? All of that kind of stuff in here. Fee collecting, there's a chapter on that. But one of the things, I mean, like, I don't know if you can see this, like there's highlighted stuff like all through this book. Like here's from chapter 1. Setting your fees too low conveys the message that you don't value your services adequately. It may also communicate that you may not be able to provide quality service. Fee setting is actually an element of marketing your services. A realistic fee announces that you are going to deliver quality service for dollars spent. It also communicates that you are confident in your abilities and the worth of your services. By explaining the basis of your charges, you let your prospective clients know how valuable your consultation is. I mean, that's like gold, right? Here's another one. From your point of view, if your fee contains a reasonable profit in the first place, then you should not settle for a less than reasonable profit. I mean, great value, right? But the other, I mean, that's just like, look, so many highlights. Anyway, this book is just really good. And he talks about how to figure out overhead, all those things. But the thing that really opened my eyes, and I should have looked this up before. Shoot, I'm going to see if I can find it. There's a chart in here where he talks about the different ways that you can be paid. And what I mean by that is like, it's like a scale. Okay. Here it is. So there's 6 ways that you can be paid between the client and the thing, right? There's a fixed price contract. There's a fixed fee plus expenses. There's a daily rate. There's time and materials. There's cost reimbursement, and there's a retainer. Okay. Each type of payment structure deserves your attention because they have pros and cons for you and for the client. And this is where he has like a drawing in here that was like a scale, right? If I can see if I can find it. I don't see it for some reason. It must be somewhere else. But anyway, on one end is fixed contract, and on the other is retainer, right? And so like a fixed contract is the worst thing for a consultant or a service provider because you've agreed to a price. And if the work becomes more, it's hard to adjust your price, right? Like, so if you're going to offer fixed prices for your services, a key to that is 1, building in an effective margin so that your margins are right. And 2, you have to be able to know how much time it's going to take you to do that. So your costs, your actual costs of delivering don't get out of control. Does that make sense? But on the other hand, when the client is just paying you, like when you're billing them per hour, like that's the best for you because it doesn't matter how many hours you work, you're always going to get paid, right? So there's this idea that can be a place in between, especially for big projects where you and the client both have skin in the game. And that's one of the keys to pricing as well, is everyone needs to have skin in the game. And when you're doing, just be aware, because this was a revelation to me, that when you're offering a service at a fixed price, all of the, what's the word I'm looking for? All the risk is on you. It's not on the client. And you think at first like, oh, well, the client's taking risk because they're giving me that money. No, the risk is on you, because if it takes more time than you thought, if there's more expenses than you thought, if something in your, gets out of control, like you're taking all the risk because the price is fixed. Where on the other end, you can get some of that risk away by having, like, maybe you set milestones, like, look, okay, this is what the price of this project is going to be. You have to be very clear so that if you go out of those realms, you can come back and say, hey, what's our saying, Nick? This is beyond the scope of this pricing, right? Isn't that what we used to say?
Beyond the scope of this project.
Yeah. Anyway, so this book is really great. You guys are going to love it. It's called The Contract and Fee Setting Guide for Consultants and Professionals. Howard Daryl Shinson. I know I prattled on a little bit about it, but that's all I got. It's really good. Check it out.
No, that's all really good information. And I actually came up with a Cash App question out of that, Tom.
Oh, Cash App. Let's play Let's play the video. That sounds awesome. Hold on, I got to get to it. Here we go.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Cheating, bling, bling, got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Oh, did it stop? Okay, it stopped. All right.
So you guys, we usually do Cash App giveaways on all of our lives. You want to show up to our streams. Usually we do at the beginning, middle, at the end. Basically, we ask questions, do some trivia, maybe ask you to go do something, go like a video or leave a comment somewhere, and we give out some Cash App money. So what Tom was talking about earlier really gave me an idea for a question, because I think it makes a lot of sense, and I want to just kind of hit on some of this perspective for you. And he was talking about we were talking about how pricing your services in a way that are too low, number one, it's not gonna do anything for you. I mean, when you do that, you're trying your best to get a client, right? In your mind, you say, well, if I make it cheap, this person is going to for sure take the job and I'll get a little bit of money because I have no money right now. I'm doing myself a favor in lowering the price, lowering the barrier to entry, and I can bring somebody in. But that's not really always true, and it can be a bigger problem than you're thinking. And it's been a problem. I mean, I've experienced this myself. I know Tom has also experienced this as well. So just to put that into perspective too, a little more, the question is, and I want you guys to answer this, first person that gets the answer that I'm thinking about in mind first is going to get some Cash App money. So, and somebody was talking about in the comments about, I think like a Bentley, you guys are killing me with these. You're talking about cars and making $88,000 a month and what you would do if you had $1 million a year and all this shit. It's pretty funny. But somebody was talking about a Bentley. So here's a question. If I went to you and I say, I'll sell you my Bentley. I don't have a Bentley, but I will sell you my Bentley. But guess what? I'm going to sell it to you for $50. What's the first thing that you're going to say if I made you that deal? What does that do? I'm looking for some questions. There's some comments coming in. There's a little delay. Somebody said, fraud. Cameron, you can't enter, dude. Too cheap. Okay, there it is.
Night. Looking for a little extra money for date night.
Ed Shepard got it. Ed Shepard got it. He said, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with the car? Right? That's what happens when you price yourself too low to somebody that has a budget and is willing to buy a quality product. If you offer something that is obviously worth a lot of money at a really low price, people are going to think, well, what the hell's wrong with your product? Why would I even want that? Right? Now, there is a scarcity mindset there for people that are bargain shoppers and deal hunters and looking to try to get the best deal possible. Those usually aren't the best kind of clients. Those usually aren't the best kind of customers. They're usually trying to make $5 go like it's $3,000. And trust me, if you're the person delivering for that person, you are going to hate your life. I've been there. Tom's been there. A lot of sharks on this call have been there. So, I mean, Ed, put your cash tag in the comments so we can send you some Cash App money. Thank you for everybody else that hit in those comments. I see a lot of people that said it devalues, it's too cheap, things like that too, which also makes sense. But in my mind, it's what's wrong with your product. You know, if you're teaching somebody to sell something, right? Let's shift to a different product. If I'm teaching you how to sell, and I say that if you learn my system, you're going to make $10,000 for every person that you sell. And you say, oh, well, how much is that product? I mean, I'm going to make $10,000 for everybody I sell. And I say, it's $29. You're going to be like, what the hell? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. So you have to price yourself effectively, and there has to be a reason. And so the reason that we figured out with this whole digital thing is to just gather some information. We want to gather some information on the project to help put together something that makes sense. Ed, you just go to offlinesharks.com/Cash App and you can sign up for the Cash App. It's free.
Yeah, there's one more thing I want to say about pricing. So when we're talking about the business side of it, the things we covered so far are it, right? Like pre-qualifying is important. Knowing, having an effective way to figure out what you should be charging, what your break even is for services, how to effectively estimate projects that you're pitching, all those kinds of things. Like those are like the nuts and bolts of pricing, right? Like that's a lot of what we talk about in Pricing Magic and some of the other trainings and things we do. And of course, Local Fee Finder takes care of the pre-qualifying part, right? There is another part too that I would highly recommend that you start working on if you haven't already, and that's your mental things about money. And you may think you don't have any, but I thought that I don't really have anything. Like I want to make a lot of money. Like I don't have any. Nothing's holding me back from doing that. Turns out I was wrong. I did have a lot of things about money and how I felt about money and how I what I thought was possible and not possible that were just, from my experience growing up and, not having money growing up, all these things. And so the other part of all of this too is some self-awareness about you and your feelings and thoughts on money, right? A couple of exercises I can give you that are pretty good to do is one I used to do is like, so you write down like how much you can make each month, right? So you go like, if I needed to make $1,000 this month, could I do that? Sure. Maybe your job, you make more than $1,000 a month, right? Well, how about 5,000 a month? Yeah. How about 10,000? Whatever number you write down, and you're like, if it's $83,333, like you guys were talking about in the comments, maybe you write that down and you go, I want to make $83,333 a month. And you look at that and you go, there's no freaking way that's even possible. Then that's a block you have about money, because there's more money than that flowing around every minute. It's changing hands somewhere in the world, right? It's everywhere. It's going all the places. So I don't want to get all woo-woo or sound woo-woo, but the money mindset, I think, is super key. You have to kind of start to figure out what your thoughts are, because they affect what you do, right? Just because you look at your service and say, well, I would never pay, I was just talking to somebody the other day, it was like, they paid $12,500 for something. I thought I'd never pay $12,500 for that, right? Like, maybe you're a person that says, well, I read an email the other day, there's a copywriting course by Gary Bensavinga. It's $5,000, right? Maybe you look and go, I'd never pay $5,000 for a copywriting course. Well, there's a lot of people out there that would, right? Like that's a belief, a thing you're bringing that you think about money and applying it to everyone else out there. And we all do that. We take what we think about money, pricing and all that stuff, and we apply it to everyone. The problem is everyone's not like that. People are different. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to work on that side too. So yes, work on the pre-qualifying, work on the pricing structure, do all the practical real world nuts and bolts things. But in the meantime, also work on your mind when it comes to money. Find some books, read some things. Like we've recommended some here on the live show that are money mindset type books. Look those up, get those, and start expanding your view of all that stuff. That'll be another big help as well. Don't you think, Nick? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I was thinking, I've been thinking a lot lately about how people usually just kind of price themselves. They say like, oh, well, I know another guy that charges $5,000 for websites. I will charge $5,000 for websites because he's doing it. And kind of some of the things that you were saying too, it's like we compare what our numbers are that we want to get based off of what other people's numbers are, not based off of what our actual potential is. If I say I want to make $3 million this year, and I think to myself, well, where do I get that number? Well, I see other digital agencies making $3 million this year. Then I'm going to really set a cap for myself, not based off of what my potential is, but based off of what somebody else is doing. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And it's really easy to get locked into this mindset of, I'm only going to be able to do this much and hit these plateaus. And that's part of it, right? That's part of the battle, is just being aware of all of that, having that awareness, having that self-awareness to know when you're putting something in place that's like limiting you. And I've been thinking that personally on a lot of instances about seeing what other people in the industry are doing and comparing where I'm at to what they're doing, and just like being comfortable. But am I really not unlocking my full potential? Am I just being comfortable because I'm at what other people are doing, or so I'm with you, Tom. It's important with the mindset. It can really make or break your game.
Yeah, and Patty asked a great question. She said, how did I get past that money mental block? Well, Patty, first of all, it was, and it is, an ongoing process. But the first thing that I had to do was get out of the fantasy mindset. And when I say fantasy mindset, I mean, I had to get out of that mindset of thinking that I could just somehow set somewhere without doing anything and money was somehow going to magically find me, right? It doesn't work like that. Like it doesn't work like that. And I for whatever reason I just thought there was an easy way to make money. There just has to be an easy way to do it, right? Like there's got to be a way where I can spend 99% of my time doing something else and only 1% of my time and the money will just flow in. Well, it just doesn't work like that, right? So for me, it was the mailer, right? The card, because that was the first thing I really made a decision. Like this is how I always thought about services that I was selling. Somebody bring up a service and I'd go, oh, well, how long did it take you to learn that? Or, well, how long is it going to take you to sell that? Or how long will it take you to get 10 clients? When I came across the mailer, that was the first thing that I didn't ask myself that question. The thing I said instead was, I am going to fill this thing up no matter what it takes. So I put no restrictions on myself. It was just all about taking action. Like, I'm going to go do this thing no matter what. It's going to get filled. There's not another outcome, right? There's no other outcome that I'll accept. So I didn't worry about how long it was going to take. I didn't worry about how many businesses I had to go talk to. I didn't worry about whether I was going to have to do email or walk in or cold call. Like none of those things were in my thinking because my only process was we're going to fill this thing no matter what it takes. That was a huge shift for me. And, in 7 days, I had that thing filled up and I pocketed like $3,800 in profit. And that showed me again, like I was so broke. And in 7 days, I created $3,800 out of nowhere, out of nothing, right? Like I literally just had 2 laminated cards I made at Office Max. Like that was another mind expanding moment around money. Cause I'm like, oh my God, I have been overcomplicating this. Like the opportunities everywhere. Right. So that was the start. And then it's been an ongoing process through that, right? Like that opened up my mind to be like, oh, I could teach people how I did that mailer and I could probably make some money that way. Right. That was another mind altering thing, putting out that first product and seeing the money come in and going, oh, like, wow. Like, so it's a process as you go through, right? Working with clients and continually looking at yourself and doing all that stuff. So, okay, Nick, before we run out of time here, I want to do a couple things. So number one is we're going to do this a little different because typically at the beginning of the show, we give you guys this link, Offline Sharks Shoutouts, and we ask you to go leave comments on all the people that are sharing their successes in the Facebook group from the past week. And at the end of the show, we give away some Cash App money. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to go to offlinesharks.com shoutouts. I want you to tell everybody there, congratulations, great job. If we get enough comments, we should be able to maybe give away some Cash App money at the end. If not, we'll do it after the live is over. We'll have our team pick some people. But go there. It's a great way to support people in the community and possibly win a little bit of cash. And also, too, like this stream. There's 100 people on here. We only have like 12 likes. Come on, people. You're better than this. You're better than this. Let's do it. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go through the shout outs. And then we're going to do our member of the week as well. And then I have a question about that for you guys. So let me share my screen so we can go through the shout outs. Okay, here we go. Oh, maybe I can make this a little bigger. Yeah, there we go. All right, so our shout outs for this week. These are people that had success just this past week. We love to do this every week. Share the success, fire you guys up, let these people know it's great. We put this post in the group every week, always at that same link. So our first shout out goes to Zachary Hansen. Zachary sold his first premium listing to a current client, and he's now found an appointment setter. Zachary, that is awesome, man. The appointment setter, that's really, really great. Johnny Ortega secured his first SEO client. Congratulations, Johnny. That's a big milestone, right, Nick?
I remember that.
Yeah.
That first bit of like recurring revenue coming in. Actually, I had a little bit coming in by the time I got my first client, but SEO was the first time I really got like like $1,000 a month from one person, which like life changing.
Yeah, it is crazy. Frank Falcone. When I saw Frank Falcone was on here, Falcone is like one of the mafia people in Batman, right? The Falcone. So I wondered if Frank, any relation to them? I don't know. Maybe they'll say anyway. Frank Falcone, he closed a 1,700 directory website job. That's amazing, Frank. Great work. Great work. Shannon, our friend Shannon is back. Shannon promoted his AGM site, greendealsaz.com at the Earl Cup Cannabis Awards and Festivals in Mesa. Probably a lot of munching going on there, huh, Nick? A lot of
a lot of hungry stoners.
A lot of chips and
Pizza.
Yeah, a lot of pizza. Yeah. Anyway, on Saturday, his AGM site has over 200 plus paid premium listings. I saw the picture that Shannon put in the Facebook group. It looked awesome. I mean, it's been great to watch somebody, take that concept and do it a little differently, right? Like he's focused on a niche. It's really great. So awesome work, Shannon. Great to see.
That's incredible. How many paid premium listings, Tom?
200 plus.
200 plus paid premium listings. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
That's amazing. Jocelyn Wing, our next shout out goes to her. She got her first mailer printed and ready to hit the mailboxes. That is awesome.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, it looks great. It's a great looking card. She did excellent work. Way to go, Jocelyn. Also, James. So James made a post in the Facebook group yesterday that he started reaching out on Facebook for his mailer, and he had sold 6 spots. And then like 2 hours later, he updated his post because he had 9 spots gone. So James, congratulations. Way to take action, man. Really, really awesome. So he's got 9 spots down, 5 to go. Keep at it, right?
And that's all through social media direct messaging, Tom?
So yeah, James has just been doing it through social media. And there's another shark on there, Devin, who I want to give a shout out to. Devin posted in the comments how he had already had enough spots sold that the cost of the card was completely covered, right? Completely covered. What did that comment say, Nick, that you just put up there?
So James said that, yes, he's been DMing his social people or in social media. Less than 24 hours, he got nine spots sold, posting in groups and messaging as well. That's amazing. Good job, James.
Yeah, and on that post that James made, Devin also talked about how his card, he already had enough spots gone to cover the cost. Everything else was pure profit from this point on. Devin even shared one of the messages he was using in the comments that he was having success with, and some of the images that he's been sending with the messages. They're really, really great. So I reached out to Devin on Messenger and talked to him a little bit, and pretty amazing. Devin only made he would just make a post on Facebook, and he did them about a week apart. It was really not a lot, but he's getting great results. So anyway, so check out that stuff. But yeah, James, Devin, awesome job. Congratulations. And our last shark shout out goes to Frank the Tank. Frank landed a new client to redo his website, rep management, and Google Ads. It's a $3,000 setup and $497 a month. And so what is that? That's a combined total that we can track from those posts of $5,294. That's only based on the amount shared by the 3 persons. So not everybody told us what their pricing was. But again, just to show you guys that opportunity is out there, right? Opportunity is out there everywhere. You can do it. These shark shoutouts are awesome. Congratulations, everybody. Way to go. Another successful week.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's so good to see that stuff too, because it's one thing. Sometimes people look at it and like, oh yeah, Tom, Nick, it's easy for you guys to do this, but no, everybody does it. So really great.
Well, and also just that the people in our community are are crushing it, right? Like I firmly believe that we have the best local marketing Facebook group. We have a group full of people that are taking action. And I think that's really what drives people to come back here and ask questions and participate, come on this live stream with us, because all the stuff that we're talking about, it's real, right? And it's tangible, and you can see other people having success with it. So I think it is really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Super awesome. All right. We have one more thing we like to do each week. And I have a question for you guys that I want to know. Maybe you can put some answers to. So as you guys know, every live show, we have a member of the week. We have a member of the week. And right now what we do is we send the member of the week some special swag, usually a t-shirt, something like that, something they want, right? We are in the process of doing a couple things. Number one, we're working on some swag boxes to be able to send out to our members of the week. So I'm curious of two things. One is there anything specific you guys would like to see in a swag box? Like, it can't be a Bentley. Like, it's got to be realistic, all right? It can't be something that's thousands of dollars or $500. Like, it's got to be like anything you guys would like to see in a swag box that you'd like to get from us that you'd be like, oh, this would be great. You know, if I had I don't know, whatever it is, you know, whatever that thing is. That's one thing I'd like to know. The other thing is, can you guys think of any special privileges that would be good for the member of the week? Like, is there something we could do that like something we could give the member of the week that would like set them apart in the group for the whole week? That'd be interesting to think about, I think, as well. We're looking for ideas. Like, this is your community, our community. Yeah, let us know. So awesome. And now our member of the week this week was really awesome to see this member of the week. There's always in the group posting. We pick the person based on, you know, their participation, how, you know, just being a good steward of our community, right? Our member of the week this week is Mr. Tom Garner. Way to go, Tom. Way to go. Congratulations. You're the member of the week. And someone from our team will reach out.
Tom, I mean, I've been talking with Tom over the last week. He's been doing really, really good, helping out a lot of people, making posts about what he's doing. So yeah, Tom, thanks for all your support, you guys. If you could tag Tom, if you've been seeing his posts in the group, and thank him, tell him he's the man, keep crushing it. I'm sure he'd love to see that.
Yeah. Well, and Nick, before we wrap up this call, we need to do one more time.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, bling, bling, chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
I never get sick of that song. It just gets me fired up.
All right. So Shashawn just messaged me. We made a post of our shout outs about 10 minutes ago, and all of you that made a comment congratulating everybody, Shashawn had picked 2 of you. So the 2 people that are going to win Cash App money from that are Miss Darla King Weaver and Bob McManus.
Woo-hoo! Congratulations. That is awesome. Cash App money coming your way.
Please, so Miss Darla and Bob McManus, put your cash tag in the comments. And then Tom, what do you say I close this out with the last little bit about the magic?
Oh yeah,
the pricing
yeah,
magic,
great.
the X-ray magic.
Are you going to do a magic trick now? Like, this would be great.
Right. Yeah. Everybody, close your eyes. So somebody must have come to the stream late, right? Because they're like, I'm looking for the. Is this a stream about the X-ray vision goggles? Because am I in the wrong place? No, you're not in the wrong place. You just came late. We've been talking about how to price effectively and how we have a software that we built that helps us to have X-ray vision goggles in finding out what our prospects' budgets are and help to pre-qualify them. And so we have built a software. It's called Local Fee Finder. We've been using it for years. It's normally $197, but for a couple of days, we wanted to make a special offer to everybody here in our Offline Sharks community. You can pick it up if you actually, this is a great question. How many of you are still confused about your pricing? Put a 3 in the comments if you are still confused about your pricing. How much to charge? what's the best amount to charge, how to find the amount of the budget for your projects. And if that's you, then you will absolutely 100% want to go to the link offlinesharks.com/magic. Rick, Wes, James, all of the Facebook users that have not logged in and I can't read your name and call you out. Dorn, he's got a -1 because he's got his pricing on lock. So all of you, if you have questions, I mean, we've got answers. We've got a software that's really helped us to change the game. So go to offlinesharks.com/magic. The deal is going to be there for a couple of days, and then we're going to just raise the price back to $197. But it's a great tool. It's straight out of the trenches, and we would love for you guys to have it too.
Yeah, and not just the software, but the pricing magic training itself is really good too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So it's not just the software. Like, it's a whole complete package. You guys will love it. Plus, you get the upgrade. Like, when we first launched it, there's an upgrade. You get, for the discounted price, you get the main thing, all of that, and the upgrade. So yeah, it's a really good deal. And it won't be available long. So head over there and pick it up. Awesome. Nick, anything else before we sign off? Another successful Aloha Friday Marketing Jam session?
Yeah, just that I saw Tony Edwards, our man Tony Edwards, on the stream. And I haven't seen him for a little bit. I know he might have had some health issues going on. So it's really nice to see you hanging out here, Tony, with us. I'm glad you're feeling better, man. And yeah, the next time I'll see you guys, I'll be in New York City. So
New York City? Do you remember that from the commercials? He gets his beans from New York City. That's like all the I don't know why I just thought of that. Hey, Don had a great question I want to answer before we sign off of here. She said, does the local fee finder come with any of your programs? So, Don, if you are a Shark Alliance Elite member, you already have access to local fee finder. One of the benefits and perks of being a Shark Alliance Elite member, besides just being in an awesome, kick butt, take action group and, having all that stuff and all the training and all the information in there. But when we put out products and things like that, Shark Alliance Elite members get access to them. And that is one that's in there. So if you're Shark Alliance Elite member and you're like, I didn't even know I had that, because there's just so much stuff in there, just pop a ticket over to support and we can show you where it's at so you can access it. But yes, it is in there. Awesome. Well, guys, another fantastic Aloha Marketing Jam session. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We will see you next week. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to our support desk, or you can post them in the Facebook group and we will answer them there as well. Awesome, guys. All right. We will see you later, everybody. Aloha. Stay safe out there.
You've been listening to the Sharks Live Show, your weekly local marketing jam session. Every week, packed full of local marketing strategy, tactics, tips, and fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this stream. You can stay up to date throughout the week with Nick's YouTube videos at nickponte.com/YouTube and Tom's podcast at tomgaddis.com. We'll be back here next Friday for another Sharks Live Show. Until then, aloha.